Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The police are supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to do their job without fear nor favour. They are not to be influenced by outside forces, by political pressure, by the desires and wants of those in authority. They are there to seek the truth and bring perpetrators to justice. That is their job. For any police force to be unduly influenced by anything other than the search for the truth and to do anything other than follow the evidence smacks of a police force that is no longer fit for purpose. And if the chief constable of that force has been influenced, then he must resign or even face prosecution. That is, in theory, how the police should be. But it seems evident that in Scotland that is not the case. They have questions to answer. There are serious problems with what has happened in this investigation into the £600,000, and the timing is suspicious, to say the least, if not downright illegal. If it turns out that the police delayed the investigation until after the election of Sturgeon's successor, then that election needs to be rerun. Those involved need to be fired and then prosecuted, and the whole police force needs to be investigated root and branch to find out why such corruption has been allowed to fester. We're going to take a look at this article. It does not make good reading for the police, nor for the SNP, but I think for the SNP very little does these days. Here goes. Right, so police face questions over timing of arrest raid at Nicola Sturgeon's home, the husband of former First Minister held as part of the investigation into the £600,000 donations to the SNP. Now, this investigation has been going on for quite some time, and it's funny how she chose to resign shortly before it came to a head, out of the blue. She denies that she knew in advance. I think that is a lie. I think that she definitely did know in advance, and she was getting out while the going was good, handing over a poison chalice to whoever followed her. And also I think that who followed her was set always to follow her, and that there was undue influence, which we will look at. So police chiefs in Scotland are being urged to reveal whether they faced political pressure to delay the arrest of Nicola Sturgeon's husband until after a replacement was found for the outgoing First Minister. Now, the thing is, if he'd have been arrested while she was First Minister, or at least before the election of the First Minister, the taint would have been on. And Humza Yousaf, so closely aligned with the inglorious leader, would have been tarred with the same brush. He would have been subjected to the same form of criticism, guilty by association, if you will. It would have blown his chances of winning right out of the water. And so I think definitely the police were influenced to delay till after the election. The argument would have been it would be politically sensitive. It may not allow people to have the full view. They'd be bigoted because of the results of one man's arrest against the potentiality of another man's benefit. That kind of thing. If they've done that, then the police are guilty. The police are 100% guilty of politicking, and they should have no place in politics. And if they've done that and delayed it to enable the protege to get in, and don't forget that the protege was backed by the entire party hierarchy, then this is completely wrong, and the chief constable needs to resign with immediate effect and then needs to be prosecuted. I'm sure there's a law on the books that is able to be fitted in around this. I would love to see the head of the police go to prison. Peter Murrell, the SNP's former chief executive, was arrested on Wednesday as part of an inquiry into the party's finances. We all know this. Police Scotland is investigating the spending of about $600,000 that was earmarked for Scottish independence campaigning. This comes 7 weeks after Miss Sturgeon announced she was stepping down as First Minister, and just 1 week after her successor Humza Yousaf took office. Although Police Scotland denied notifying her in advance, the former SNP leader and force chiefs are now facing big questions about the circumstances of her resignation and the timing of the arrest. It does stink There's no way she would, out of the blue, after just previously saying, "Oh, she's full of energy, she's ready to go, she's going to fight," then all of a sudden, bang, she resigns. All of a sudden, out of the blue. There is no way on earth she did not know what was coming. She's been told. She may not have been told officially, but there were whispers. The whispers got back to her. Somebody made sure she knew. There have been suggestions within SNP circles that senior party figures had learnt earlier this year that the police investigation was coming to a head. However, the arrests and raids did not end up taking place until after the leadership election had concluded. Why? If they had enough that they could have arrested him, if they had enough that they could go in and do a search, if they had enough evidence of all of that, why did they not exercise that immediately in order to stop that man from possibly destroying evidence? That is completely wrong. If the police knew about it, they should have acted immediately. To do anything else shows either ineptitude or corruption. And either way, the head of the force, if he's not corrupt, he's inept and got to go. If he's corrupt, he goes and gets prosecuted. If he's inept, he goes and loses his pension. He has to make the choice of which one it is. SNP grandees said there were legitimate questions for both the police and Miss Sturgeon about what she had been told about the investigation and her husband's arrest. They also said there were questions over whether she had asked the police to delay it in order to allow her to resign and have a replacement appointed. Alex Neil, a former Scottish Health Secretary who served in Miss Sturgeon's first cabinet, said Police Scotland should make it clear if they were asked in any way to delay this arrest, and if so, why did they do so? They should be totally open and honest and let us know if in any way they changed the timing of this arrest because of the SNP leadership election. And if they have, they've involved themselves in politics. And you do not want political police. Political police smacks of state police, smacks of secret police, smacks of the STASI. Is that what the SNP have done to Police Scotland now? They've created a secret police state filled with STASI officers doing the bidding of the state. Are state officials now above the law? We have to know these questions. Officers raided the marital home of Miss Sturgeon and Mr Murrell, as well as the SNP's head office, in a search for evidence, leaving the party in turmoil. And you have to wonder what they took away and what will be on those computers and phones. And you also have to ask, why did they let Sturgeon leave the house? I've mentioned this in a previous video. The detached house in Glasgow was treated as a potential crime scene, cordoned off with the police tape and a large tent erected in the front garden. Officers were seen searching through bins and examining a barbecue in the back garden. They were looking for burnt remnants, obviously. Mr Murrell was released without charge just before 7 p.m. on Wednesday, more than 11 hours after his arrest, pending further investigation. So he's been let out to go home, but he's not off the hook. Members of the Scottish Parliament also demanded to know whether Miss Sturgeon's decision to announce her resignation in February was prompted by any prior knowledge of an acceleration of the investigation. Mr Yousaf was asked whether it was the real reason she quit, but of course he won't answer. He is her glove puppet, he is her padawan. He is in his position because of her. Supporters of Kate Forbes, who was narrowly defeated by Mr Yousaf, said she might have won if Mr Murrell's arrest had come before the leadership ballot. They demand full transparency from Miss Sturgeon and Police Scotland about what had happened in the run-up to her resignation. Police Scotland said that neither Miss Sturgeon 52 nor Mr Murrell 58 were notified in advance of the arrest on Wednesday. Now that is a very telling line. They have said categorically that neither Miss Sturgeon nor Mr Murrell were told. They have not said that nobody was told. They have not said that they did not tell officials. They did not inform other people. That is ambiguous. They need to clarify that. They need to come clean and say, yes, we didn't tell those two, but we did tell someone else. Or that they didn't tell someone else. That needs to be investigated. However, the next line is of great interest. It declined to say whether Miss Sturgeon or any other SNP employee were asked for the arrest to be delayed until after the leadership contest. So when asked, did you delay the arrest because of the leadership contest, their reply is silence. That means yes. Because if it was a no, it would be easy to say, no, we were not asked. That would be the truth, and they were not asked. They're not answering that because they know that the answer is yes. And they know if they say yes, they're done. So the answer is yes. They were asked by someone, either Sturgeon or someone senior in the SNP, to delay the case. That line there means that the Chief Constable's position is untenable. Senior police must resign, must face charges. The ballot for the leadership election must be run again. Political interference from or upon the police, and the police conniving to change the results of an election. This is what you expect from a third world banana republic, not a modern Western democracy. This stinks. This absolutely stinks. This is corruption of the highest order. Scotland has been shamed by its political system and by its police. Labour said both Ms Sturgeon and Mr Yousaf must now urgently state what they knew and when about the allegations facing Mr Murrell. Since July 2021, Police Scotland has been examining the SNP's handling of more than 600,000 in donations, and that is basically, it's been covered ad nauseum. It later emerged that in June 2021, Mr Murrell made a personal loan of 107,620 to the party to assist with cash flow, which is now understood to be part of the investigation. And then she replied that she was unaware of the loan. If they have a joint bank account and she's not aware of £107,000 coming out of her account, then she is a liar. But I'm not. The rest of it's just regurgitation. I'm not going to go over. It is basically, a lot of that is just saying what's happened, which we've covered in previous videos. But it is without doubt now, because of what the police have not said. Don't look at what's there. Look at what's not there. Look at the missing spaces. The police have not denied that they were influenced to delay those arrests. And that means they have. And that is corruption. I'm coming up and we'll finish this video. I think it is now clear that Humza Yousaf is not the legitimate First Minister. He's not the legitimate leader of the party. That whole election for him to win was tainted with corruption, tainted with political interference in the police, and with police connivance at the political interference in a legitimate election. And therefore it needs to be rerun. And I suspect if it was, Humza Yousaf would no longer be the First Minister. I think Kate would definitely get it. But this whole corrupt mess, it can be laid firmly at the existing hierarchy in the party and its two previous senior members, Sturgeon and Murrell. It is an absolute stench from top to tail when you are having police interfered with in their duty because of politics, because senior politicians demand that certain things don't happen. This means that you can no longer trust the police. You can no longer trust police impartiality, because it is quite clear that the police are no longer impartial. They are absolutely in the pocket of the SNP. The Chief of Police needs to go. He needs to resign with immediate effect, and a full investigation happens. And if necessary, he needs to be prosecuted. But all those who have corrupted the police within the party need to be prosecuted. This is serious. This is one of the most serious, perhaps the most serious political scandals to ever have rocked Scotland, certainly in my lifetime. To have political parties wielding power at the behest and with the connivance of a police force. It's like something out of, some third world dictatorship. It's like Eastern Europe. It's like Putin's Russia. It is wrong. And it is up to the people of Scotland to demand a full investigation and to demand a rerun of that election. Certainly, people in the SNP, you need to demand this, because did you vote for Humza Yousaf before you knew how closely he aligns himself with a corrupt regime? I think given another chance, you may vote somewhat differently, and I do hope that this happens. I suspect it won't, but I hope it does. And I'll sort of stop there. thank you very much for watching. This has been a bit of a longer one than usual, but if you have got to the end with it, I thank you very much. Please hit that subscribe button, because if you have got all the way to the end and you haven't subscribed, you might as well. Ring that bell. Please leave a comment, leave a like, share the video. Definitely share this video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. Remember, the police are now an instrument of the state, and goodbye.